Okay, and hello, and welcome to PokerImania.com's live stream on MTTs. I'm Aarnimetsa, and you can see here I have 18 tables of MTTs open, and I'd say most of the MTT tables today will be the PokerStars 1 billion tournament carnival tables, and I hope that we can get rid of some of these tables in a while, because I thought that I can start this set so that I have something like 10 tables going, and I'll have some deep tables. But let's say that it didn't go as planned, and I haven't been out of the tables nearly as much as I thought, so there are still a few tables, too much probably. What's the blue stuff? Blue stuff is Stars Helper mostly. I have been experimenting to get rid of Table Ninja, and Stars Helper seems to be a pretty good tool for that. Most of the blue stuff is what has happened in the hand before. It updates live, so when you are multi-tabling it is pretty helpful in. It's pretty helpful for you to get easily noticed what's going on the table. Aggressive player and ante, so I'm going to defend with 9-7 suited. On Stars Helper, I think that there is a free trial of 1 month or something. Free trial of 1 month or something, and then it's somewhere between 30 and 50 bucks. I can't even remember. A lot of draws, he's betting strong. I'd say that looks like he's setting up the pot for a river shove, and that's something that I wouldn't like with 9-7 suited and without my suit being any use on that table. Big coffee cup. This is not a big coffee cup, this is a thermos cup to keep the coffee warm. So I'm thinking that I'm getting a new coffee cup, like new coffee cup during every break or something. And why I'm aiming to get a new coffee cup every break? I'm having one biggest that I late reg, that I thought that if I late reg, it can't take that long. Okay, then I late reg to that tournament. And now I have something like 25k stacked there, so. And the biggest, they are famous for taking forever. And that's something that might be of an interesting tournament a bit later on. And right now I'm having the 16 tables, and on the top right I am having the real MTTs. And the real MTTs in this situation are scheduled MTTs. On the top left I'm having some 180 mans. I think something like 6 or 7 of those. And then I'm having some satellites on the bottom, and because the satellites are in critical phases, they are requiring a bit more attention, so this is actually close still. So I have played a lot of satellites today, and I have been running pretty good in those. And for the tournament number 1 billion, I have gotten like 2 tickets already. I bought in the tournament anyway, so that's just additional tournament money for me. And as you can see that there will be more strategy content as the tables will get... The amount of tables will get slightly lower. When he opens 5x, I don't think Ace-Jack is then good enough to defend. For something like 4x I could have defended, but against the 5x I think it's going to be... And in here... We just need to go, we are so far away from the money and we are getting awesome odds. And of course hitting a straight on the flop also helps a bit. Just 5 big blinds effectively stack depth, so king queen off is a shove. Hotchen is such a nit early on, so I'm even folding 7s. I have lost 1 stack already to her, so on a 35, so I don't want to be doing it again. So I have like something like 4 satellites, 7 or 8 180-mans and 5 or 6 real MTTs, so it should be an interesting night going on. And this is satellite, so I'm dropping it down here. It's really important to notice which tables are satellites, because you can really screw up a lot of equity in a satellite if you are near the bubble and just don't get it. And my basic strategy in MTTs is to be really aggressive in position, and out of position going to be less aggressive. And when the antes come, then I'll be even a bit more aggressive. And king queen off, when there is so many small stacks, it's close between min raising and shoving, I think, from UTG. I think I can get some more fold equity when there are randoms by shoving it instead of min raising, because they might think that even with their 5 big blind stacks they are getting some fold equity that they are not getting, but they might think so. This is like completely on the edge. And thanks for the good lucks. I'm going to concentrate on going through the chat a bit later when I have a bit more time. Right now I'm trying to concentrate on the tables. So, and player, I'm hoping for that one time as well. I'm unsure that do we have a Sunday Million sat still going on. If we do, then that's going to be the real one time. Against a random player in a satellite structure where there is no ICM implications close by, I'm going to shove close to 100% with such a shallow stack and antes. It's going to be nice on a Sunday storm. In a 5-way pot hitting a set, it's something that's really, really profitable. And now there is one satellite that's I'm 13th out of 67 and there's 37 places paid, so I'm going to switch the places of these satellites. And in here I'm going to be shoving on the Sunday storm. With 2 flush draws there should be someone to take the bait. Someone took the bait with ace-6. That's great. A 0 outer on the turn, so I'll take the monies. Boikki, the 1 million tournament, it's the buy-in is $109. They are having some kind of carnival, so they are randomly to some tables they are giving extra equity. I would need 27% here. It's actually really close, but when it's three-handed, then I'm not going to call it. It's close. I thought that today would be probably the best day for satelliting to a lot of events because in general the satellite should be softest today when there are so many players willing to go to these carnival games. So I have seen some awesome plays in these satellites, and awesome means plays that are going to give me a lot of equity, so plays that I'm going to like. And most of these tourneys are going to be turbos or quick structure, but there are some mines, and if I'm going to get to the Sunday Million, that's going to be one of those mines. I don't believe him. When I raised and checked, my plan was to at least call one bet, and this queen is something that I don't like that much, even though it gives me a straight draw. I believe that the opponents are betting with something less than a king, and there might be some queens that the opponent now hit, and we'll check to have, because he has some showdown equity. But in here, kings, really nice. And in here we are in a $15 180 man, we are in a bubble and we are third largest stack, so the situation is quite great for us. And we got a limper here, which is kinda surprising. When he limped early on and he hasn't limped a lot previously, I'm thinking that it's going to be a pretty trappy range mostly. But if I would have hit something like a 9 with the 9 king there, I would have been going for at least one street. And hello Repo and hello Neo. I'm now trying to be a bit more risk averse in this hottest $75 satellite, because it seems that I'm quite likely to get the money by just falling back, so I'm doing exactly that, because in the satellites it doesn't require you to have a huge stack. Like, you don't get any style points for having the most chips in the game. You'll only get the same price as anybody else, so in satellite games you have only one mission, and that is to make the monies. And if you can make the monies without risking your chips, it's always better than to risk the whole stack. If there would be smaller stacks than me, then I would abuse a lot more, because it's also for them. They can't call that often. Because he has called twice in a row, I'm a bit worried that he might have a king, and then when I'm check calling it, I'm also giving him an opportunity to bluff something worse than my aces. As you can see, with 15 tables, it's hard to stop at any point, because the time bank starts running quite quickly on some other tables, so I'm going to do the actions, or prioritize the actions right now, and when we are getting to less players remain, or less tables remaining, then I'm going to talk more strategy. And of course now it's also a good time to find some more interesting hands. And you can see my HUD on the bottom, and there should be a table counter on the bottom as well that counts all the tables that I'm currently having. And we are in the money in the first 180-man sit and go. That's great. And in here, the plan was to be calling everybody else except this Kamikaze Russo. And plan hasn't changed. When he bets the river, I think that he will have some bluffs as well, so... And I'm having a bluff catcher, so let's do what the bluff catchers do. And catch the bluff. $27 places paid, 36% pot odds. I'm having a slightly ugly feeling on the bottom right, the hottest $75 satellite. I'm thinking that my stack is pretty much on the edge that do I get the money reliably. So I think that I might need to take some risks. It sucks, but when we are close to the monies, I don't think that the opponent will be raising us that often. And when we got the straight on the end, I'm going to bet big. This guy doesn't look like a good player, so let's try to extract maximum value. So in this game it still looks like I might take some risks after all. With the suited hand I should have enough equity in a four-way pot. My main enemy would be this guy that gold 4-bets there. I'm trying to see, like, when I'm in a satellite and I'm trying to find out that is my chip stack going to be enough, I'm going to try to find out what the edge player has. Like the 37th player has an 6k chip stack, so I'm not having a comfortable stack there. But 9-7 off, I think that the effective ICM in that game would be so strong that... And here on the Sunday Millions set, when I don't have fold equity, I don't want to get it in with 7-6 off. And 5 big blinds deep, I think that's really close to check 10 off. "21 players remaining. So I think the carnival or whatever, it gives a bit more equity in the sense that there will be much more random players on the tables. I think there is now online like 70,000 more players than it's usual for a Sunday, so There will be a lot more random players in game. And right now I'm having a pretty crappy table in a sense, because in this table we can see currently that I'm one of the shortest stacks, and there would still be 17 shorter stacks than me, so that's going to be a table that I don't feel that comfortable in, because pretty much everybody else will be having a chance to drop me out. And we are having ace queen suited. That's going to be a great hand, even though this looks pretty nutsy, this hand. And that sounded like really bad. It looked like he is going to have nuts a lot of the time when he only calls for 20,000 chips, which is about 20% of his stack size. And now we are close to a good situation on the bottom left. Because we are 26th and there are 63 places paid. And only 6 players need to get out of this tournament. So it's going to be cutting it really close on this bottom right. And when I have chosen my tactic of stalling and trying to just get the monies, I'm going to act quick before my blinds so that the blinds don't increase and I get through the blinds. In here with the extra equity, and he 3-bet shoves. If I call and if he has a flush draw, I'm pretty much dead. But if he doesn't have a flush draw and doesn't have a set, then I would be in a great equity shape. But I think with that kind of a huge bet, he's going to have a better flush draw so often. If I would have like ace-10 suited there, I would have called in a heartbeat. But with a non-nut flush draw, it's a lot harder to go for it. Because I haven't been playing with MTTs in a while, I dusted off some of my old charts, so I am using charts. And in here, we are not calling with King Jack off, even though we are a lot ahead of this Bardak's range. And it's only because there needs to be only 3 players dropping out. And when only 3 players need to drop out of the game, I think that we are... That's going to be really nasty. I think that we are going to get the monies pretty often, even though we are now 37th chip stack. It's going to be cutting it pretty close because we are now through the blinds. So I think that there will be players that are going to get the blinds. Crap. Crap. There are no players that are going to be all in on the blinds. So I need to shove when I'm getting dealt something like jacks. But that wasn't according to plan. That's like coloring outside of the plan. When a fishy looking player just calls, I'm going to be shoving there because I think that there will be enough money in the pot. But I won the pot, so that's really great. There has been really a lot of crap situations going on, so please excuse my English. But I think now we are in a pretty good place in this, the hottest satellite, so I think we are going to get the ticket there. And we are having some really nice 180-man runs. And I think I have played something like 20 of these today, so having good runs is something to be happy about. Something like King 9 suited, King 10 off. Actually, something like King 7 off. And pretty much the suited kings would be my go-to range there. And if he would have min-raised, I would have flat call, but I don't even know how many players there are in the special tourney, so I don't think that it matters that much how many players there are. Like 3.1 million, 3.2 million prize pool. That's pretty awesome. And 31k players. That doesn't look even as bad as the normal Sunday Millions or normal Sunday Storms. And in this situation, even though there is the fishy player all in and but this player looks a bit more solid, and I think that my stack is going to be at least close to enough to get to the money, so yeah, it's going to be really hard to adjust to the satellites because the satellites are going to be... Satellites are always going to be with their own... It's going to be slightly close with Jack 4 suited. But like in satellites, I know the feeling that you are getting like, yeah, now I'm getting them. Now I'm getting them donks that now I have a great hand, and then it's like, but I can't play a hand in this satellite, so just take my blinds. And there is now been one complete orbit with no players dropping out of the game, so it's going to be cutting it pretty close, and now I'm getting the larger blinds crashing into me, so I'm not that happy about it. And I thought that most of these satellites would be gone when the session opens, but oh well. I'm happy to get a lot of money on these satellites because then it gets me closer to just free rolling in the tournaments. And actually right now that I'm seeing this situation that there's 99 players remaining, I'm 61st. Then it means that I should have been a bit more aggressive, but it's going to always be close in these satellites. And this is something that you'll see on most of these satellites, that there will be a lot of players with really small stacks, and after these blinds have gone over us, this Bardax isn't going to give the chips easy, so we are going to drop to really close to the 40th place, but it doesn't matter because we have already paid for the blinds after these hands, and there will be a lot of opponents that will require to play pay the antes. And this was a special play. I thought that it would be really close to if it's a shove or not, so. And I don't think that this guy is going to be 3-betting me often enough to make me regret it. And if the big blind shoves, then it's going to be a easy enough call for me. It sucks a bit if everybody folds, because then I pretty much need to shove against this UT Gozal to not give him more blinds, but you can always trust on Phantom. Phantom to shove. And with that big of a stack, that's probably going to be the right decision. And in here I'm going to stall for a bit because it's going to be, in 1 minute, it's going to be 3k/6k. And I know that all of the rest of the players are stalling as well. So right now when the blinds are going over me, then stalling is going to benefit me a lot. But because I'm multi-tabling so much, I think I'm going to leave myself at least 10 seconds to the... This sucks. But now the stack is still a weapon, the hand is really decent. And if I win this pot, I'm going to be in a lot better place. Place tournament wise. Bit of a disappointment on these 180 mens that we have had decent stacks, but no final tables yet. I'm thinking about taking more of those 180 mens. More of those 180 mens if it's going to be... If it looks like that I'm going to be far in some, or deep in some real MTTs, then I'm going to take these 180 mens because they're never taking more than 2 hours, and on the average they are going to be over pretty quickly. There are at least 2 players on, at least in my table, that are going to be all in on the blinds, so now the situation looks pretty nice for me in this hottest $75 satellite. And now I'm trying to avoid playing any hands like the hands would be Plague. And there will be another hottest $75 sat that looks pretty good. With the Queen Jack suited that I shoved in the 1 billionth tournament satellite, it seems like that failed horribly or miserably. So there is only 1 satellite left. Then I'm pretty much on the edge on... Oh well, this is the hottest 85, so I'm going to take probably the 180-man tournament that's closest to the final table. Table as the tournament that I'm going to look at. And this tournament also looks like only 32 players need to be out of the tournament. Nice to carry on with the same players than in the satellite. Like all the players on my table are now on the... All the players on my table in the $75 turbo. That actually would have been better to min-raise and have some harder situations for the multi-tablers behind me. But with so short of a stack as Queste has, I don't think it's a hard decision for him at all. Oh well, 0 outer on the turn, so not much to do there. And now we are getting a lot closer to having less tables and more time to speak. Actually, I think I might have making a mistake there against this Soki beer. Because I had a good stack size there, so this is exactly why satellites are so hard to play well. Well in these situations, because like jacks, when I had something like top 26 stack, jacks is a fold there when an opponent has shoved on UTG. Like that's probably one of the stupidest mistakes that I have made today, and I'm sure that I have been making plenty of those mistakes. And when I had like 26 stack and there was something like only 20 players that need to get out of the tournament for me to get money, it's a horrible mistake. Especially when my opponent is a supernova, so I think that he would shove I'd say pretty tight in there because he was having a good stack as well. That's actually something that I should have called with the King 10 suited, because there is a lot of good flops that I might hit with the... And now with the antes, it's going to be really close, but I rather have at least some fold equity when I have a decent stack, and now there's only 3 or 4 players behind me, so... And trying to hide my stack size by min-raising here, it makes the multi-tablers a bit less likely to find out that I'm really short stacked in the situation. Ouch. And as Kauris says, that can't fold jacks, and that's where you're losing a lot of money in those. In those games. I think I'm starting to take a few more of these 180 mans to get the table count up a bit. Probably when it was the $75 satellite, probably I burned something like $10 to $15 of equity by doing the call with jacks. So that's a bit of a horrible situation. It's a bit demoralizing that we have had a lot of nice runs with the 180 mans on $35 games, and then the last games running are $8 games, and the both $35 games that we had a large stack in were just min cashes. So, and min cash is something like $50 on those, so not a lot. But first final table, and it's always going to be great to be in a final table, although I would prefer to have a larger stack here. When the final table starts, the average stack size is going to be 30,000 chips, so and we are a bit we are not there yet. And with a short stack, it's going to be a bit ugly because our stack is not that much of a weapon, so we'll need to be tighter than I would prefer. There are at least 3 possibilities to have a better hand, and then there is going to be the desperation shove possibility if I have even a halfway decent hand there. But we'll see. We'll see how it turns up. And of course, shouldn't be demoralized in these $7 180 mans, because in these games it's going to be, I think, something like $400 for the winner. So it's still a decent. It's still going to be a decent win if it's going far. And hello, 99 problems. With an ace, with less than 1 big blind and antes in play, it's going to be going for it. It's also any pocket pair, any king. Anything that's even close to pretty. Because we had a nice stack on the biggest, that might take I don't even say that it might take a while, but I'd say it might take forever. That's why I started some new 180 mans. I think that even when he calls, he's going to have something else than flush draws, so there will be some random overcards as well, and I'm going to be calling that bet. And if he doesn't, and actually In here, should I have shoved the previous hand? Probably not, but I can't fold even 9-3 off because I don't require that much equity there. If I win, I'm having a stack that's going to be a decent, and it's going to be a weapon, but if I fold there, then I'm having a really crappy future predictions. Nine three off was just about equities. Like, poker is a game of equities, and that was one highlight of it. I got enough equities on. I think that Mirenko is going to be opening around 40% there. And I got enough equity, so I'm calling with 9-3 off, even though I don't think it's going to be a good hand, but the hand is going to have enough equity against the opponent. And actually trying to hide the stack size again with a standard sized min raise. We are of course calling anyone, and if someone calls, we are going all in on the flop. As I said that the table amount will go down, but I didn't think that it will go down so quickly. Like, we are going towards the first break and we have eliminated 14 tables or something. In this situation, I'm not going to open any two because I need to call this major laser, so I'm going to have some better equity hands there. But I think 6 king off is going to be enough, and I don't think that this Klaxon whip is going to be shoving enough for it to be not profitable for us to open. He would need to shove pretty wide, and he doesn't seem that aggressive. And if he just calls, we are having enough chips to make plays on the flop. As a really tight player opens early on, ace-9 is going to go back to the deck as quick as possible. Now we can see that, like, Just Pro Skill had like 50k stack when he came to the final table, and the Real Talk had the smallest stack, and now it's going to be pretty much the opposite of it. And I'm a bit unsure, actually, do I skip the big blind? I shouldn't skip the big blind even if Just Pro Skill is eliminated. It would probably been a good 3-bet as well. Now we are having enough showdown equity that I think that we are getting more if we are giving that guy an opportunity to bluff, and if he doesn't, we are going to aim for small value on the river. Trying to get him to call with something like ace high or pocket sevens or... And someone opens 4x, I got a cold caller, and I've got an ace king, and this is a bit of a special play, but when this guy opens 4x, I'm going to think that he will be inclined to do something stupid like call a shove there with the weaker ace. With a range that will include enough weaker aces. And on this final table we have been card dead, but now we are getting somewhere. And Ace King, like they say, it's like Anna Kurnikova. She's pretty, but she never wins. So now it's time for our first break, and because this might take a while, I'm going to need my breaks, so we'll be back in 5 minutes.